So today we'll take a look at Pilgrim Noir. This is a collaboration between Effects Audio and Elysian Audio. This is a demo set, and from what I understand, this is not exactly how the retail set may actually be. But let's not waste time and take a look inside. So what you can see here is the items. This is the Noir itself, and this is the case. You can see that this is a combination of Effects Audio and Elysian Audio. And you can take a look inside. There is just some tips here. It's spin fit, but it's not open, so I'll just leave it inside. And let's take a look at the Pilgrim Noir itself. Now this is the Pilgrim Noir. This is a combination of Elysian Audio's tuning for the Pilgrim, and then this is the Effects Audio cable itself. Now this is the MMCX connector. You can see here it's spinning freely. I personally don't quite like MMCX connector because pulling it out is so hard, so I shall just leave it like that. And you can see that this is how it looks like. Now this ball itself, I would say this is this is a bit on the large side of ball. So you can see it's pretty big. There's a filter in front. You cannot see the number of holes. So this whole nozzle is the ball itself. The Noir is very nice. I love how the black color version look. I do know how the other version look, the normal Pilgrim. I do prefer the Noir a lot when it comes to look itself. This black and gold is just so classic looking. So this is really it. There's nothing much to talk about the IEM. I mean, it looks like what it is. So without wasting time, let's try this IEM out. Tips wise, I will be using the Sophia liquid silicone because this is kind of like the middle ground for tips. I really like this thing here. So if you are interested to try tips, the Sophia liquid silicone is to me the middle ground for tips itself. It is a mid-sized ball and it sounds good with a good balance between bass and treble. So let's have a closer look of the cable because this is a special cable. This is by Effects for Pilgrim Noir. And you can see this cable here has the very trademark Effects Audio splitter here, and then it has the Termax connection where you can unscrew it out and then change the connection here and then screw it back in. So this is quite good. You can have some flexibility here. Now this connector here is the 2.5mm balance. You can actually use 4.4 and you can also use single-ended for this connector itself. So without wasting time, let's have a listen to the Pilgrim Noir now. So for the first track, I heard Ibarra, you can see here. Then this track itself, I find that the Pilgrim Noir is V-shaped, but it's not as V as I thought it is. When it comes to the bass, I find that the quantity is not a lot, though the overall quality of the bass and texture is pretty okay. Now this song may not have that much sub bass, so I will try with another song later. But overall, I think that the bass is okay. It is slightly elevated, but really not much compared to other IEMs in the market today. Now the mids are very pleasant and a little bit, if you ask me, forward. So the vocals are very clear for Edo in this particular song, and I really like the smoothness of the mids itself for vocals. Now the instruments in the mids are very natural sounding. There is no veil, no nothing, so it feels very clear at the mids itself. So maybe that's the good thing of having not so much bass, because the mids are actually really clear sounding on the Pilgrim Noir here. Then for the treble itself, I find that they are a bit more tamed. Now this is not like the usual Elysian Audio stuff where I find they have quite a bit of treble extension, while for the Noir, I find that it is a bit more normal, or should I say more tamed. If the instruments do require treble, the treble is there, and it does showcases all kind of instruments that needs it, such as cymbals or any bells. But that being said, it is not in your face, it is not very hot, it is just there. So I think it is a very interesting tuning, and I can imagine myself listening to this particular IEM for a prolonged period of time, because in Ibarra, this IEM has totally zero sibilance, which is great. Now this is the first song. Let's try the next song. I'll use I Know Akuruhi and then have a listen there. With I Know Akuruhi, I can now highlight a few other characteristics about this IEM. Now the Pilgrim Noir has probably a mid-size soundstage. It feels very nice, very airy. The mids itself is not like super focused, but not ultra dispersed either. And there is good amount of air in Ado's voice that makes the soundstage sound relatively big. Now, the quantity of bass is not a lot. I think it is maybe average or slightly above average compared to modern IEMs. These days, IEMs have quite a bit of bass, and this belongs to the average only type of class of IEMs, or maybe slightly more than average class. Something like the Neon Pro that I recently reviewed has slightly lesser, and this definitely has more than that. There is bass rumble, there is bass impact, and the texture is really nice here. I know Akuruhi has quite a bit of bass notes that are playing in the background to create this very smooth sensation, and Pilgrim Noir do bring that out very well. Now, in I Know Akuruhi is about the voice of Ado at the start. So the voice itself, the mids are really smooth and nice, and it's also really extended into the treble and air region. So it gives this very nice romantic feel to the song itself. I Know Akuruhi can be rendered in two major ways. One is a very fragile sound, and one is more of the very smooth sound. And this one actually is moving very close to the fragile sound itself. Very nice, smooth, and a bit more romantic, and a bit of sadness in the voice itself. So it's really beautiful with this IEM. Now, when it comes to the treble, I do think that the amount of treble is more on the lower side compared to modern IEMs. I do feel like modern IEMs do have a little bit more treble. It is never hot, never spicy, it's just there. It reminds me of the Onyx itself, which is very similar in tuning, where the treble is just there unless you on it really loud. If not, it's never intrusive or very, very in your face, more of a darker sounding IEM. And I believe Pilgrim Noir is probably that kind of tuning, more of a darker sounding one, which is overall very enjoyable to me. Now, I have so far listen to this IEM alone. Now I'll compare it with something of a similar price. Now at 800 USD, I'll compare it with the U4S, which is the closest, because I don't have anything else below the U4S. The next guy is like 400 USD, half the price of this. You can see here now, this is the U4S, and I'll still be using I Know Akuruhi for this comparison because I want to hear the air region and the bass region difference. So I've heard the song I Know Akuruhi with both of these IEMs. I want to say something is that the Pilgrim Noir reminds me of the recent review I did for the Neon Pro. This is an IEM that is very balanced. The Pilgrim Noir is actually surprisingly balanced throughout. Not too spiky in the treble, not too much in the bass, but I would say that it is still a slight V compared to, like, say, the Neon Pro then. So there is still good amount of bass, just not as much as the U4S, and there's still good amount of treble, just not as much as the U4S. The amount of air in the Pilgrim Noir is not as much as the U4S. However, I have to say something that the amount of body in the track itself is still well retained. Both of these IEM has really good body. Though I have to say that the Pilgrim Noir feels like it is more separated. The blackness between the notes, between the background and the various instruments and the vocals is more, I guess, there. It's more empty in between those things, while the U4S tend to fill them up a little bit. I mean, this is a personal preference of the type of sound you want, but the Pilgrim Noir is giving me a very dark background, while the U4S is giving me more of a filled-in song. So this is a personal preference there. Now, when it comes to the vocals, I have to say that the Pilgrim Noir sounds more powerful, more immediate for the vocals themselves, and for the mid instruments, it feels just more in your face. But this is not as focused as the Neon Pro that I reviewed very recently. It's a little bit more relaxed still, while the U4S is very big sounding, but a step back in terms of the mids itself. Now, when it comes to the highs, the sparkle on the U4S is more there, while the Pilgrim Noir shows the treble when it's required, but it's never hot nor sparkly. So if you're looking for excitement on the high end, probably not. Now, for the bass is a bit more interesting. The sub-bass rumbling feel is more apparent in the U4S, but the impact wise, I think they are about the same. I don't feel like one has more impact than the other. So the quantity of bass is maybe very similar, but there's more elevation in the sub-bass region for the U4S. At least that's what I think is happening here. Now this is I Know Akuruhi, the first song. Let's hear another song. And for this one, I want to hear Yusha or The Brave, because this one has a lot more bass and I just want to hear, the difference, the amount there. So with Yusha, I pretty much confirmed that when it comes to the bass itself, the quantity of the mid bass is about the same. But when it enters a sub bass, I do feel like the U4S is extending a little bit more lower and it like kind of suck you in, while the Pilgrim Noir kind of like rounds it off. I guess this depends on your personal preference, whether you want that rumbly feel that sucks you in, or do you just want bass that impacts and rumbles a bit, but very well controlled. So the Pilgrim Noir gives you a little bit more control there. The mids wise, I do feel like the mids, when it comes to like absolute clarity, the U4S is slightly ahead, and that's also maybe because of its slightly elevated and extended treble that has a little bit more air there. While the Pilgrim Noir feels like it is a bit more rounded off for the vocals, and I think overall clarity in the mids very similar, or maybe the Pilgrim Noir is just a touch lower itself. Now treble is the same, there's just less treble energy on the Noir compared to the U4S. So it does mean that the Noir, if you ask me, can probably listen to many songs for a very prolonged period of time, while the U4S, if it's a treble heavy song, it can get a little bit hot there. Soundstage wise, I do think that the Noir is close to the U4S, but the U4S has that slight advantage in air and therefore makes the soundstage look a little bit larger than the Noir itself. And I think pretty much that sums up what I feel about the difference between the Noir and the U4S. The Noir, after all this testing, feels like a little bit more balanced, a touch darker because of less treble energy, but overall a very enjoyable IEM. This is actually probably the type of IEM that I want to kick back, relax, and listen for hours. The Pilgrim Noir probably can make the cut because it is really smooth. It doesn't have any spiky highs, spiky treble that will distract you. The bass is not so much that it sucks you in and rumbles your head non-stop. And the mids are surprisingly very smooth. It's not like super forward or super distant, it's just nice. And if you really ask me, this IEM is really good for relaxing. Maybe the Noir in the name is really for relaxing, for a little bit more darker sound. But to me, it's like not the darkest sound I ever heard. And it is actually pretty balanced and enjoyable. Now, it does also mean that if you're looking for excitement both in the bottom and the top, Noir is maybe not for you. There are IEMs that can probably give you more excitement at the bottom or more excitement at the top. But if you're looking for a very clear sounding IEM where the mids have good body and the treble is there but never getting too hot or in any way, and a bass that is also there, good quality, but never having so much that it kind of rumbles non-stop, the Noir is a very balanced sounding one. In fact, I think I'll probably get one just to listen for the purpose of working. Because now that I think about it, if I'm going to do work, this is pretty good. It doesn't distract you too much. It is very good in quality, and it probably can play many tracks without getting hot at all. So if you're looking for a sibilant-free live, but still maintain all the clarity and treble that is required is always there, bass required is always there, the Pilgrim Noir may be the choice for you. And that's about it. This is the Pilgrim Noir from Elysian Audio X Effects Audio. Very nice IEM. I will probably consider getting one real soon. And that's about it. I will see you guys again. Bye-bye.